Hello, welcome again to the streaming of Abylight Studios. I'm Miguel Garcia. I'm the creative director of Abylight Studios, and today we are going to be talking and discussing about how at Abylight Studios made a game engine for an Apple Watch, and how we were able to create the game and to release it, to make it available as a standalone application for the Apple Watch. We are going to start talking about how the idea starts. So it was a summer day, and me and Eva were in a mall. We were eating a hamburger, and we passed near of an Apple store. It was July of 2019, 2 years ago. So we entered the Apple store and we were just looking at the devices and talking about the kind of devices that the company, the team needs. So at some point in the conversation, we saw these Apple Watches, and it was the first time that we saw those devices, right? So at that moment, I remember that I mentioned Eva, do you know what? In 3 months, Apple is going to release a new store for these devices, for the Apple Watch. So she told me, okay, so maybe why don't we buy a couple of them for the team to make some tests and to see if we can do something small, a little game for these devices to be ready for that new shop that you are talking about. So I was thinking at the moment she was offering that, and I say, yeah, why not? Let's try. Let's buy these devices, and I think that we could do something small with Unity and have some game for in 3 months, right? So she bought 2 Apple Watches, like this one. This is one of them. And the first time when I opened the devices, when we started the device, and I check the spec and I check if we are going to be able to use Unity, I feel in shock, because this device, the Apple Watch, is very limited in terms of specs. So it's even possible to run Unity because the amount of memory that you have on an Apple Watch to run an application is only 50 megabytes. And if you want to compile all the libraries that Unity needs, you require, well, the device will need to have more memory and also more power to move the graphics and everything. So yeah, at the beginning it was like we are not going to be able to do anything for this device. But some days after that, I remember starting to research on internet about what the kind of technologies are being used to develop 3D or 2D application for the Apple Watch. And at the moment, I discovered that they were using SenKit, and SenKit is an API that enables you to write code at a lower level. So you have some help from the framework with objects like camera, light, and things like that, but you don't have anything else. So I remember that we at the team was discussing that, and we say, then why not just try to do our own engine? And that's the moment we started the project. We started with an idea that could be doable in 3 months, because we had to implement, to develop the engine and the game itself. And at that point, we didn't know anything about the language that it was required. Yeah, at that moment, we didn't know anything. So what we did was, why don't we start the project in Unity? Because we know how to develop using Unity. And then we will, in parallel, other part of the team will start to learn the basics of SendKit to do at some point like a port of the code that we were developing for Unity to the SendKit. So we did that. We divided the team like in two parts, and one of the parts was researching about developing the basics of the engine, like having a camera, having lights, having an scene, having objects, having skinning with character, with animation and everything, like a very basic level. And the agreement at that point was, we, on the other part of the team, we are going to use Unity, but without use the API of Unity at all. So instead of using the methods, for example, to compute when something is colliding with another object, we are going to do it from scratch using Unity. So in that way, when we face the porting to the other technology, we are only going to change the camera of Unity for the camera that the other team were developing at that time. So that was the plot of the idea. I'm going to put you the trailer, and then I'm going to show you the one-pager that we created at that time with a top level design of what we think that the game could be. Let's start with the trailer. So now I'm going to explain to you the design of the game and why we decide to do a game like this. So the game is like a dungeon crawler. We started the development thinking that we are going to do a dungeon crawler, like you are moving just step by step from tile to tile, and using the crown of the watch as a way to just turn the view of the camera. But at some point we were talking with Apple, and they told us, you know what? When people use the Apple Watch, they are using in very short sessions. So if you really want to do something interesting for the Apple Watch, we recommend you to increase the speed of the game. So we was discussing, and we say, okay, why don't we transform this dungeon crawler that is turn-based in a real-time experience that it's always being moving, and you will have to use the crown of the Apple Watch just to turn the view in real time. So we moved the original idea to that other, more quick or agile idea. And in this new way to do the game, the focus was in just explore a little bit, solve some puzzles, but simple ones, because the sessions are not going to be that long, from 30 to 50 seconds, levels of around that. What we did was to have like a map. We divided the map in levels, and in levels we put puzzles, and also we hit some gems on the levels, and you have to solve puzzles, find keys, and find those gems just to pass to the next level. And we at that time use the gems as a unlock mechanism for collect them in order to unlock the new levels. That's the idea that we presented here in the one pager. This is a one pager that we sent to Apple at that time, and they give us feedback, and also we were in touch at that time. We were doing something that nobody were doing at that moment, doing a 3D game with this amount of graphics quality for an Apple Watch. So I guess that they listened to us because that reason. So Mindkeeper: The Lurking Fear is an atmospheric video game of puzzles and mysteries inspired by the stories of H.P. Lovecraft. In Minecraft, you will explore a mansion located in the Swamp of Storms, where cults, legend, and lost realities of multi-tentacular beings only exist in the abysses of the human mind. So this is the plot. We base all the lore of the game in the mythology of Lovecraft. And I have a question over here. Just to clarify, the entire development time was only 3 months. Yeah, that's right. And I remember at the time sending the last bill 2 days before the release of the store. And they approved the game at the first try, and 2 days later, when I opened the store on my Apple Watch, the game was on the front page of the store. So yeah, we achieved it, and we achieved it by this little amount of, yeah. As I was saying before, the game is based on the mythology of Lovecraft. And one of the people of the team, luckily for us, because I was a fan of Lovecraft too, but we had Javi in the team, and Javi was also super fan of Lovecraft. So he was the one in charge of the narrative. So what we did at that moment is just create a story based on one of the tales of H.P. Lovecraft, the Lurking Fear. And he created notes that can be collected through the levels. So if you collect them and if you read them in order, you will understand the story. Okay. He was in charge of the leveling, the level design, and also just to mention some people from my team. Well, as I say at the beginning, Eva was the first one with the idea of doing something for the Apple Watch. We had Javi doing the narrative and I mean the design of the lore and the wall itself, the idea of the lore, and also he was doing the level design, and we also had Victor doing the level design. We had at the time David doing the some part of the framework of the native part in Swift. He was the one creating those APIs of camera, light, and everything, just to port the code from Unity to the native part at the end of the process. It was at the time also Ricardo helping David with the native part, and it was also Alberto doing the music and the sound and everything. It's funny because at that moment when Alberto, it was funny because at that time Alberto came to us like, hey, what is my memory budget for the sound? And I told him, I'm sorry, but you only have like 4 megabytes to do the sound and the music. But amazingly, he said, well, that's more than enough, because I've been making music for 20 years, and I have doing music for smaller machines, so something will come out, and the music at the end and the sound and everything was awesome. And I was in charge of the design of the mechanics and the programming of the engine. So today I'm going to talk more about the engine, the editor, and how we transfer all the code from Unity to Swift. Okay, so what are the pillars for the game? The pillars for the game is like mechanics: explore the mansion to find all the nodes of 8 joys, solve mini challenging puzzles, run away from Lovecraftian horrors. In the game you have to escape from them too. And the progression is just choose a portal on the map, just choose the level, find all the keys and all the gems of the level, collect them, and then discover, completing those levels, discover the history, discover everything. And the design philosophy that we follow at that time was the player is going to run alone, is going to walk alone, and you only have to use the crown to rotate the view. The level will be designed to be solved in 10 seconds. We tried that, but we didn't achieve it. All the levels can be done in 30 to 40 seconds, but not 10. 10 is very short time. And the persistent puzzle progression. So you can start, you can fail, but if you find a key, you will have the key for the second try. Okay? So why don't we just jump to see the game, and then I'm going to show you the editor. I'm going to change something on the editor, and you will be able to see how those changes affect to the game. And this is the simulator of the Xcode. So everything that we developed at that time, I'm going to explain everything later, but let's just jump to see the game a little bit, and then I will explain more details. I want to show you this teaser. This teaser is from Sigil. I want to show you my teaser because from the first line of code of the engine to the end one, I was listening the OST of Sigil all the time, and this is the teaser of the disc. So I feel it very appropriate to wear the teaser today and to talk about this too. Okay, so I am here. I'm going to just enter to the first level. Well, what band? Someone is asking, is David asking, what band? The band is Buckethead. It's a guitar player, and he made the OST of Sigil. Sigil is the sequel that John Romero did for free. Yes, Buckethead. Sigil is Buckethead is awesome. I when I have to develop something, when I have to code like hard things, I use Buckethead as a way to focus on the problem and it's awesome. And as I was saying, Sigil is the sequel to the original. Is the original Doom or Doom 2? I can't remember, but it's a new chapter that John Romero did for free a couple of years ago. And the OST is awesome. So let's continue with the game. At the beginning you see the tutorial, and the tutorial is say to you, in Mindkeeper your character move automatically. Use the digital crown to change the direction you are facing. Okay. So if I don't touch anything, the player, the view is going to just walk, but I can move the crown, and as you see, I can navigate. I can find these kind of gems. If you walk up to a door, you will be automatically go through it and enter the next room. Yeah. So we designed the interaction to be so smooth. This is the simulator, yeah, but they improved the simulator like a lot, because I remember that 2 years ago the simulator was like 3 frames per second. So we didn't have the opportunity to use the simulator to run the game. So later I'm going to show you how we did a trick to just show the game without using the real code. Yeah. What exactly is the crown? The crown is this part of the Apple Watch. It's a part that you use to interact with let me show you. It's not that easy. It's a part that you use to interact with your Apple Watch. And the good thing is that it's a physical control. Instead of the virtual controls that you see on mobile games. The beauty of it is that you can feel it, you can touch it, and if you move it, it's a dial, yes. If you move it, the game is going to react to that, okay? So the tutorial says you must pass through the dimensional portal to complete the level, okay. So the first level is super simple, yeah. With the mouse is a little bit difficult to control the crown, but still. So, and you see those nodes, you can see this first node here. And the more levels I unlocked, the more nodes I will be able to see. Okay, level 2. In level 2 says find 2 gems before passing through the dimensional portal to unlock the next level. Okay. So just go through this. If you found 1 gem, collect more gems to unlock other portal which you can access from the map. Okay. There are other gems over here. Yeah. Now I have the 2 of them. And this level is also super simple. Just go through the portal and that's it. Okay? Okay. So how we did that? As I said, I'm going to open the editor. This is the Providence engine. And we call it the Providence engine in honor to H.P. Lovecraft, because some people call him the Providence Master. So let me explain to you what are you seeing. At first, at the beginning, well, I'm going to just load the first level, the level that you saw on the game that I was playing before. I started here. And I move through here to collect this gem just before I pass this door. So what is this engine, what is this editor, and what is this everything about? As I told you before, we split the team into parts. Well, in fact, it was in 3 parts. It was me doing the editor and doing the engine. It was David doing the native part, and it was Javi and Victor doing the levels. So what we need at that time was in order to... I remember that at that time we only had like 3 months to complete the project. So what we shortly realized, we realized very quickly that we had to start seeing something, we had to start progressing on something, because otherwise we are not going to be able to develop the engine and the game and the levels and the content in only 3 months. So what we did was we implemented an editor that is just a map in where you can build different, you can put floors, walls, objects, and also establish the relationship between them. For example, I can add like a trigger, and I can add like a door, and I can connect the door and the trigger, and then assign some kind of event. What we did was we have like special objects like door, player, gems. Also we have like scenery tiles that can contain colliders or not. Let me show you the colliders. The blue one are the vertical colliders, and the red one are the horizontal colliders. So I was saying what we did was creating the editor just to be able to create levels. And then when you have the level, you also need the game to run that level and to make you feel how it's the level in play mode, right? So because we didn't have any code at all of the native part of the part of the Swift, what we did was creating an implementation of the game using Unity, and starting to develop the game using Unity, starting to develop the editor, and those kind of the level designer started to create the levels, and they were able to run the levels with the Unity implementation of the game. And at the same time, the other part of the team, David, was creating those structure in the native part. So we hope at that time, all of us, that before the release of the project, we were able to just transfer all the code and logic and everything to the native part, and everything were going to work the same. And that is what happened at that time. It was difficult, and maybe we weren't able to see the whole game running completely on the native platform before 2 or 3 months before the release, but we achieved it at the end. That was something that matched, because when we developed the running part, the player of the level for Unity, we were so strict with kind of APIs that we were using at the time to being able to port all those C# code to Swift code in a way that everything was transferable. I'm going to make a change. Rewriting the Unity part into Swift was a bit like just translating. Yeah, because at the end we were... What is Swift? What is Swift is the native language of the Apple platform. They used to have the Objective-C language, but nowadays they are migrating to Swift. And yes, Swift, it's awesome. We love it. All the team love it because the syntax and everything, and it's also very quick. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to just expand the level a little bit. I'm going to put some different floors. I'm going to put, no, not this one. This one, I want it here, here. I want this here, here. And I want to erase this wall. So I will use this. I don't remember. Oh, it was doing this. And I'm going to put some walls too. So yeah, I'm going to be creative. This is not very cool for the art, but just to show you that this is doable. And I need a column decorative to have between those walls. I'm going to use this one here, this one here, this one here, here. Okay, so I have everything ready to just send these changes to the Xcode version of the game. Because what we did at the end was this. We connect this with the folder of the Xcode. I'm going to select the folder, and we save. When we save the level, what it really does is just transfer all those information of the level into code. So instead of using a loader like an interchange format like XML or something like that, we were generating code. In this way, we don't have to spend time creating loaders for the level. We only just have to run this script and all the objects will build. I'm going to show you that part. So I generated the first level. The first level have written this file, and this file is just a list. It's just a list of the details that we have defined through the editor with an initialization and just feeling of this is the kind of blocks that you are going to have. This is the position of the blocks in the space, and that's all. That's everything. So when the level starts, what we did at the beginning to create the scene is just run this script. So running this script, at the end, what you have is this in the memory of the clock, but with the objects of the watch instead of the objects that we are seeing here, that are the objects that we use in Unity. But if they name the same, and if the asset is the same but in different format, is compatible. So yeah, I made the change, I compile, I generate code, and when I press compile and play, we will going to be able to see in the simulator this change. So if I go to the first level again, well, the change will be here. Yes, it is here. Oh, I forgot to add the ceiling. But as you see, the chain is now on the game. And why this works and why this is convenient in game development. As I told before, the Apple Watch only had 50 megabytes of RAM to everything that you want to put in the game. The models, the sound, the music, the texture of the models, animations, everything, you have to put it in 50 megabytes. So one design principle that it's very common in video game is the reutilization of the instances. For example, I can have this floor used multiple times, and it's only going to use the memory the first time because I need to store the mesh and I need to store the texture. But the second time that I use this tile, it's already memory. So virtually, I can draw like all the floors that I want if they are the same one. So what we did was just be careful to not use too many different models on the same level. And at the end we had like a check button here that said models, unique models 52. Unique model 52. Expected memory on the clock, on the watch, is going to be 42 megabytes. This is an estimation that we had to did for the editor because at some point we had to optimize the amount of memory that we were using on the Apple Watch. So as I said, this is something doable if you repeat the same blocks all the time to build the levels. I mentioned before the Unity part. I'm going to show you now the Unity part because what I showed you before in the native part is that something that we didn't see until the end of the project. So we had to run like 2 months with nothing. We have to do the game without seeing anything on the native part for at least 2 months and a half. So what we did was the implementation of the player, the runner, using Unity. So in Unity, as I mentioned before, we were able to run the implementation in C# and using Unity as a renderization engine. But here, what you can even see is that the performance is worse in Unity than in the native part. See? So we had to do this because we didn't know how to develop anything for the watch at that moment, and we didn't have any technology at that moment. But that didn't stop us. We started doing the levels, we started doing the editors, and we started doing the implementation in Unity 3D because that was the thing that we already know at that moment. As I said before, in parallel, one part of the thing, we're learning the native code, and they were learning Swift, just to, at the end of the project, being able to pour the C# into native code running our own engine. I think today about that, and is what it was sick. Is what it was very difficult, but we achieved it. Yeah, it was very good. How would you do it nowadays? Today is different because today, as you see before, the simulator is running smoothly on the Xcode. So now you can start the game in the native part and having decent result. But at that time, we didn't have even that possibility because the simulator just ran at 3 frame per second. So that wasn't an option. You can evaluate the game that you are doing, playing it at 3 frame per second. So to evaluate the rhythm and the pacing of the levels, we had to see it in real action. So yeah, we did that Unity implementation just to continue and to being able to complete the project. But as I say, today we will do it differently because the technology is more advanced today, and we also already know how to develop for Swift. So yeah, the circumstances are different. So at the very beginning of the process, when we didn't even have the implementation of the game in Unity, what we had was this. And this is like a representation of what the players see at some part of the level. So if I move the player, I can see how it's going to look on the final game. I mean, without the lightning and everything and the rendering techniques, but from the level perspective, you can see how the level is, and in this way, you can planify how the player is going to traverse the level. So we have some things to see the second floor because in the game it was the possibility to use stairs. So you can have levels with 2 floors. You can see the floor and the ceiling. You can see the coordinates because when you are debugging, what was important for us is to check that no, I put something on this specific position. So now when I am running the game, I should see this object in this specific position. So secret walls, well, this is something that we use later on some advanced levels. So colliders, so triggers, and as I mentioned, we implemented everything from the scratch and without using the APIs of Unity to make the code portable. So having trigger, having raise, and having all those kind of things. What you have to do is to create an implementation in Unity using basic maths and without calling anything that is documented on the API of Unity on their web. And if you do that, you are going to be able to port that implementation to other language without dependencies. So touchables, well, touchables are the things that can be interact automatically, just being near to that. And so maps, it's something that we add at the end because when you pause the game, you can see a map of the level. So this is something that we pre-generated in the editor too. And what else can you do? Well, we have the concept of prefab. This is something that came from Unity. So what is a prefab? A prefab is like an object that you serialize on the disk with some metadata attached to it. So what we had was like having the basic objects that we treat them as prefab. For example, this floor hole have these properties, like this anchor, this group, this class. The collider is set in this specific position and this specific scale. This is the pivot. The collider is an horizontal one, or it could be a special one. So when you export all the information of the prefab, then you can use them as a numbers, because if we know that the floor hole is the prefab 0, I can say that in my map there are this prefab 0 here or here or here. So every time that the game had to draw or represent this element, is going to go to the prefab information, is going to use all those metadata to put that onto the object that you have on the map. We have metadata for the enemies too, and this is the sound. This is more like a helper to just know all the sound that can be triggered. What we did was having a folder on the editor. You have a folder and you were able to add music and sound there, and the editor picked all the names and showed them here in order to make you possible to use them when you add sound to the game. For example, I can add like a logic block. Let me level logic. No, item event. Okay, it's here. I can add this, for example, a sound here when the player enter this door and when the player pass through this. I want to play a sound, so I add this logic block here, and then I can edit the logic of the level, because I add that in the 4011. Yes, this one. I have this block here, and I'm going to just trigger the claw attack. Yes. So when the player came here, is going to trigger a sound, and the sound that is going to be played is going to be claw attack. So as I said before, when I press save, all those metadata is going to be transferred, is going to be converted into code, is going to be exported to the native part using code. So in one part of the loading of the level, you are going to see new sound, and in the constructor you are going to see the sound itself, claw attack, is going to appear there. So this is the way that we did to transfer this information to the clock. What else can I show you? Well, I can show you more levels. This is an intricate one, and we have different ambientation. This is a second floor. Yeah, this is a different ambientation. It's an outdoor one, and this one, for example, have this one have enemies. So you can see an enemy here. We had different kind of enemies, everyone which is a specific behavior. One can fly and pass dangers like this, another one cannot, and you have to just make him suicide using this style when he tried to go to you. Yes, it was a challenge. At that point, we said, we are going to do the most powerful game ever done for an Apple Watch. And it's been 2 years in then, and we didn't see another 3D game like this on the Apple Watch. It's not because we did it, it's because at that moment we thought that on the launch of the store, it were going to be another video games, but what we saw is just there are no other games, there are no other people doing this. We don't know why, because I mean the Apple Watch, it's a device that a lot of people have, and doing games for a market that there are not that many competitors, it's something very good. So why don't other people are doing game for the Apple Watch? We don't know. But yeah, it was a challenge for us, and we faced that way. I want to show you one interesting thing. In the game, we have like real-time rendering shadows, real-time lights and shadows and everything. We have bloom, we have film grain, we have some sort of effects. But for example, to tune the lightning, we add this. We add the lightning by hand, one by one, on the specific part that we want them to appear. For example, when the player go more or less in this zone, near to the window, randomly is going to be lightning. And I can show you the lightning tool. The lightning tool let me show from the position that the rays are entering. For example, this is the direction of the light, and this is the kind of illumination that is going to cause on the level. So this way you are going to be able to planify, okay, so we are going to put sunrise over here and other than from here, and yeah, that was cool too. We can play like a animation, a simulation of what will happen. We also had a camera tool for traveling and presenting enemies and things like that, but in this level I don't have. Oh well, this is not the traveling one, it's just the tutorial. And the trigger tool is to define zones. That is same that is not working right now for some reason. And pretty much that's the idea. If you have any question, maybe I can show you the project of the Xcode a little bit. I can talk about the different parts, like the most basic ones that we have. I don't know, I can show you more details if you are interested. For example, we have this platform code. This is the part that was more engine dependent. So the platform code is very, very different in the Unity implementation compared to the native Swift implementation. But what is different is the content of the different methods, because the functions are the same to do a clear porting from one technology to the another. And the part that it's almost a copy is the implementation of the game. For example, I have a gplayer Swift. This is the initialization. I have some methods, and we had the same implementation in C#. And what we did is, what I told you before, we did all these classes in C#. We implemented everything in C#. We was able to run the levels on C# to test them. And at the end of the project, we just port the C# code to a native one, and that's it. Black magic in the middle, and at the end, we were able to just open the game on the Apple Watch, and the game was there. Even if we didn't try the game on the Apple Watch through all the process. Just mind blowing that the business sort of take the gamble through it make the sense with the watch. Being first and all that, especially since yesterday we talked about creating engine not being the standard today, as opposite of the early day in game development. Yeah, that's totally correct. And we use commercial engine every time that we can. So you can use GameMaker, you can use Unity, you can use Unreal Engine. But in order to be the first for a platform that there are no technology available for that, you have to do your own engine. And this is something we had experience about, because we were making custom engines for years. We had our engine for the Nintendo 3DS, and we made some game using that engine. So I guess that we had the mind, or at least the knowledge of what is behind an engine before the challenge of doing a specific new engine for the Apple Watch. It was really a short project. Doing a big project with our own engine could be a lot of more risky. Yeah, that's true. The only reason because it was doable is because of the size of the project. Creating your own engine and doing the game, it's something that only the big ones can do it. We are not in the position to do this for a console, for a AAA project. But the only reason because we were able to achieve it is because we were a small group of people, 5-6 people at the time doing this, and the scope of the project were very limited. Only 50 levels, the mechanics are simple. Just the challenge is to complete everything in those 3 months. Yeah. So yeah, that's more or less the comparison if you want to compare with another case. But nowadays we are using for PC or console, we are using commercial engines. It's better for us. It's better for us because we can, in this way, we can focus on the game and not on the technology. I mean, being a game developer and just worry for the technology is not a good deal. What you do is making games. You win money selling, shipping games and selling them. So doing the technology for those games is not what makes you alive. So this is something that we know already. This is something that we have very clear. And in fact, we presented a new project yesterday. Now we are working, we are in cooperation with Whaaaat Interactive. They are the publisher, and they are also the owners of the IP of Prison Tycoon. And I'm very happy to being able to talk about, because we are being working in this project for more than a year without saying anything. And yesterday we released the game as we released the page of the Prison Tycoon on Steam. So the game is going to be available in early access in the summer. And I'm going to show you the trailer. I'm going to Prison Tycoon under new management. And what is something that could be interesting for you guys is that I'm going to be talking about development details of the upcoming game. In following sessions, we are going to show you the character editor, or we are going to show you to how the weather and the day-night cycle works in the game and how it looks. So if you are interested, you can come here. So the question, in your opinion, is Apple really supporting games for the Apple Watch? In my opinion, they are not. They are not really supporting them, because when they express something, when they say something about game, they never mention the Apple Watch. We have some sort of visibility because of the players and because of internet and everything, and they also put us on the front page of the store of the Apple Watch if you enter from your Apple Watch, but they are not saying in any other place that there are games for Apple Watch, that there are something like this on the Apple Watch. So I guess that they are not really supporting it for that device. So I think it's time. I just want to thank you all for coming. To end, I'm going to end with reflection, because this is only my second stream. But what I want to do is just end all of them with a reflection, a thinking about the game development itself. But before that, I'm going to answer some question. Wonder if you have any thought on something like Godot, as opposed to working with commercial engines like Unity or Unreal. Yeah, Godot is a good alternative. It's something from the old school. It's definitely something that we could enjoy using it. I personally, me or my team, we didn't use it to do it our games, but I heard and I see some features, and it's interesting. It's very good. Godot is cool for me. Okay. Also, Game Center is not working on WatchOS 7. API is buggy and Apple never fixed it. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. At that moment, we had like a bug with the sound part, and they didn't fix it. So we had to do a workaround to use a different kind of library to trigger the sound, because otherwise the game leaks memory. Sadly, that's a constant with the Apple APIs. Yeah, nowadays it seems that since Steve goes, the things are different, maybe. Could you compare the power of an Apple Watch with a console, for example, PlayStation 1? Definitely, an Apple Watch, it's better than a PlayStation 1 in some things, and is worse in another ones. But in terms of brute, in terms of raw power, I could say that an Apple Watch is more capable than a PlayStation 1. Yes, a lot more. I didn't say that in comparison with a PlayStation 2, but definitely is a powerful device than a PlayStation 1. So I'm going to do my reflection, and in this period, if you have the last question or something, you can write them. So my reflection today is about some kind of postmortem that I saw the other day on the GDC channel. It was the postmortem of Subnautica, and it was something that kept me thinking for a couple of days, because what they say it was games, it's something that people want to enjoy, but they not only enjoy the final product, they not only enjoy the game in a box. The people, users, want to enjoy the process. They want to enjoy when there are news about the game that you are waiting for. They want to enjoy in a community with other players where you can share your thoughts about the game. They want to enjoy the interaction with the developer, for example, through early access, telling the developer what they want, what they like, what they don't like. And this is part of the fun. It's not only to buy and play the final game, it's just to be in that industry, it's just to be involved in the process, it's just to know from the developers, it's just to communicate with other players that have your same interests. So think about that when you make games. You are not only making the final product that you put in a box or in a digital store. You are doing an entertainment, you are doing a show. This entertainment and this entertainment and this show should be through all the process. So it's something to consider. It's something interesting. Definitely, it's something that Abylight Studios is considering. And it's something that we want to do. We don't want just to make games and put them on the digital store. We want to make you the center of it. We want to make you participate in the community. We want you to tell us what you expect from our game, what features, what do you want us to add to the games, and we want you to be involved with us. So yes, this is interesting. This is an interesting reflection. Okay, so I'm going to answer the last question, and this is going to end here. Okay, everyone, so thank you for being here another week. I will try to bring more interesting things for the following weeks. So thank you for coming. We see on next weeks. Bye.